Thank you so much for coming out and joining us this morning. Let me start by recognizing the Honorable Minister for Finance, Roy McTaggart, and more importantly, the MLA for this area, for this constituency, Councillor David White, Acting Managing Director for the NRA, Mr. Howard, Acting Chief Officer for the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, Tamara Ebanks. Special guests, welcome and good morning. This is a special morning for us, and you'll hear more of the details in a moment, but it really is not just an indication of the progress of the country, but a tremendous accomplishment for the government and for the National Roads Authority. I have to give apologies for the former Minister, Honorable Kurt Tibbetts, who wished to have been here this morning but could not make it, and also the Chairman of the Board, Mr. Donovan Ebanks, who is off island and was unable to be here with us this morning. So, to get us started, I'd like to invite Mr. Howard to come up and give us some details on the work that was done to get us to this stage on this project. Mr. Howard?
All right, good morning, everyone. And once again, I'd like to extend apologies on behalf of the chairman of the National Roads Authority Board of Directors. He and several other members are actually on vacation with their families at this time, so they once again extend their apologies. So good morning, everyone, again, and I just want to run through a few specifics on this very important project, which is we're calling the Linford Pierson Highway Expansion Phase 1, right? So the completion of Phase 1 marks an important milestone in the Linford Pierson Highway widening project. Linford Pierson Highway was originally built as a two-lane roadway in the 2001-2002 fiscal year, with the understanding that the future expansion would indeed be necessary. 15 years later, our assumptions have certainly been realized. We have seen trip volumes grow on this road from 13,000 average daily trips, in 2003 to now just over 21,000 trips per day. That really marks a 38% overall increase in the last 15 years, or if you look at it in the annual growth percentage, it's about 2.5% growth in traffic per year. So we are certainly proud to be able to improve both the travel lane capacity of the road, and more importantly, to provide significant reduction in the morning and the evening peak hour commute times for motorists traveling to and from the eastern districts. Our early indication from some motorists traveling between Savannah and Georgetown are that the peak hour times, commute times, have actually been reduced by as much as 50%. Phase 1 of the widening spans from the roundabout at Silver Oaks, essentially where we are standing right here, to the Agnes roundabout down at the Mangrove Point development. So that's a distance of approximately 1 mile. The corridor has been expanded in width to 100 feet. We've modified the road from a single lane on either side, having no median, to 2 lanes on either side with a central median that divides the opposing traffic flows. The central median feature is very important in this highway because what it does is it separates opposing vehicle flows, and that cuts down on any possibility of head-on vehicle collisions. Now, while head-on vehicle collisions are few and far between these days, they're still recognized as one of the most dangerous and most deadly types of accidents that can occur. So whilst the LPH is now essentially a 4-lane highway, today it has the potential to be modified to a 6-lane highway. That's essentially 3 lanes east and 3 lanes west, still with the central median intact. Drainage for this roadway has certainly been improved. The road has been raised to an average of 5 to 6 feet above sea level. We've added drainage culverts underground in some areas, and we've added a total of 85 new drain wells that will help to manage stormwater on the roadway. We've also added highway standard guardrails to shield utility poles and also to protect drivers from runoff road accidents. The guardrails themselves, you will notice, have also been fitted with high-intensity reflectors for added driver awareness at nighttime. Roadway lighting has also been greatly improved. We've added uniformly spaced, lightweight aluminum poles in the central medians, as well as on splitter islands of the roundabouts. And all of these lights have also, now have energy-efficient LED lighting. A first for NRA road construction is also the addition of an underground duct bank that will allow telecom providers to place fiber and other cabling underground in the future roadway without having to cut it. You know, that's one of the things that we've always faced in the past, where utilities will have to come behind and cut the road. That won't be the case on this road. Motorists would have noticed initially that 2 family homes had to be relocated to facilitate this project. The negotiations were led by the ministry, and we are especially grateful to Honorable Minister Kurt Tibbetts for stepping in and handling these negotiations with the occupants of these homes that included elderly persons who would have been adversely affected had we just bought them out and left them to fend for themselves. We are also very grateful to the pastor and the board of the First Assembly Church of God, who were very understanding of the need for this road expansion. Indeed, the road expansion, as you can clearly see, took quite a bit of the church grounds. But as a part of the trade-off, NRA has built a concrete safety barrier, which you see behind me now, and provided some paving and drainage upgrades to the church parking lot. You will no doubt notice a newly built multi-lane roundabout just at the center of the new improvements, midway of the project, that includes future lane extensions to the Alamo Drive and also a leg that will extend south to South Sound in the future. This will help to open up central areas in South Sound and facilitate neighborhood commercial growth as well as residential growth. There's also a second multi-lane roundabout, which is located at Agnes Way, which includes a southern leg heading to South Sound as well, and also a northern leg that will take you to Crew Road. You will also notice that we've also improved that small Crew Road intersection, Crew Road Smith intersection, formerly known as Malfunction Junction. We've turned that into a small roundabout, and we've improved the traffic flow, so greater efficient traffic flows, and we're proud to say that accidents at this intersection have dramatically decreased. So the timeline to complete the project did take longer than we expected, and that is attributed to the strategy that we took in rolling out the work. The decision we took was to never close the road completely at any time. So we had traffic lane diversions, we even had lane reversals and so forth, but we understood how important this road is and how much traffic it carried, so we were very careful to plan the work so that we never had this road closed at any one time. So in closing, I would like to thank all members of Parliament represented here, ministers and so forth. I would also like to thank the Board of Directors, and I would also like to extend a hearty thank you to the staff of the National Roads Authority and the board chairman. And I would also like to thank all of the subcontractors, Island Paving. We had Island Paving working just incredibly around the clock in some cases, balancing work between the Esley Tibbetts and the Linford Pierson Highway. Other subcontractors include the well drilling companies, and also we'd also like to thank the utility providers, Flow, CUC, Logic, and others. So thank you all very much, and good day. Minister?
Thank you, Mr. Howard, and congratulations to yourself, the project manager, Mr. Mark Scotland, the NRA board, and your team on such a wonderful accomplishment. As our community grows, we very much recognize that we need our infrastructure to grow to meet those needs. As you heard from Mr. Howard, there was extensive work carried out to improve the capacity and the safety of this highway. I will add that we are now looking at pedestrian crossing models that we hope to implement throughout some of the larger highways across the islands to ensure that whilst we have the pedestrian and bike paths, that persons will be able to traverse across these highways safely. One of the most visible changes, as Mr. Howard told you, was the relocation of 2 homes. This was absolutely needed in order to facilitate the widening of the highway, and we'd like to thank these families for their cooperation and congratulate the ministry on the efforts done to relocate them and to have minimal interruption for the families, in particular because there were some elderly occupants within those homes. This project feeds into our government's move to create a greater connectivity of the Cayman Islands, the road network within the Cayman Islands. It enables people to move freely back and forth. We also focused, as I said, on the non-vehicular traffic in putting in bike lanes and pedestrian lanes, curbing, and medians throughout the roads. And we, as Mr. Howard gave you some interesting statistics, we know that the widening of this highway and the ability to widen it even further will facilitate future growth for development. In closing, I'd like to again thank the ministry and the staff at the NRA, the families whose homes are relocated, neighboring residents for some of the interruptions, and the public for their patience. I know that Minister McTaggart had to do a lot of interventions and spent a lot of time providing information to his constituents and facilitating communication between the NRA and his constituents for comfort and help throughout the project. The total cost of the project was just over $10 million, with $7.1 million being on the construction side and $3.5 million for the compensation and relocation of the families. Phase 2 of the project is in the early planning stages, and this is expected to span from Agnes Way roundabout to the Bobby Thompson Way. Our next primary focus, however, is the Elgin Avenue Extension project, which you would have seen and physically seen has started. And then once that is complete, we can then continue the connection between the Linford Pierson Highway and the Elgin Avenue roundabout. So as not to hold up the traffic anymore, I thank you all once again, and we will now move to the highway and officially open the fully completed Phase 1 of the Linford Pierson Highway extension.